Well, absolutely, Nzinga. In fact, just to quote Minister Naledi Pandor, she said South Africa is in contact with its diplomatic mission in Khartoum. They're very concerned, especially with the reports that there are concerns around the shortages of the basic commodities, the likes of medicine and the food and other essentials as well. So there's a clarion call as well for the main protagonists in the conflict in Sudan to lay down their weapons. The two ministers really, Nzinga, echoed the sentiments around calling for the cessation of hostilities, but also emphasizing that they will continue to be in touch, especially because they are citizens from quite a number of countries who are still trapped in Khartoum, especially because this is a very important country in the continent, located right by the Red Sea, but also with a very clear access as well on the port of Sudan. So it's a country that has been facing a number of challenges. We do know that South Africa and Norway, they work together in terms of peace and security. In fact, Nzinga, they went as far as calling for peace in other parts of the continent. We do know that in southern Africa, when you zoom into the situation in Cabo Delgado in the northern parts of Mozambique, it is an area of concern. Minister Pandor did emphasize that point, but also quite a very important occasion between Pretoria and Oslo. We do know that these are very strong allies in so many aspects, Nzinga. They also do support each other in calling for the human rights to be respected in areas like Palestine, but also calling also for the end of the war in Ukraine. We do know that there are very serious ramifications on this war when you look at the global economy and many other impacts as well. But essentially, Nzinga, calling for the strengthening of trade between the two countries. Geographically, they're very apart, but they've always been allies. You're looking at back in the fight against apartheid, how these Nordic countries supported the ANC in the 60s, when then ANC leader Oliver Tambo went to Norway, trying to conscientize the Norwegian about the struggle that South Africa faced at the time.
Khayelihle, let's come closer to home. An issue which I'm sure is top of mind for anyone in South Africa at the moment is energy. What was spoken about when it came to that?
Well, precisely, Nzinga, it is a bane of our existence with the regular rolling blackouts. We do know that Norway is one of the very strong players when it comes to the clean energy. You look at one of the largest solar plants that they are currently constructing in the Northern Cape to try and assist South Africa. But of course, they do collaborate as well in so many other areas as well. But energy, it is a very topical issue that the two leaders focused on in terms of boosting and fortifying to make sure that South Africa is able to come out of this particular crisis, especially given the very serious economic implications that are really just caused by the rolling blackouts. But apart from that, Nzinga, something that is quite interesting is the supports for human rights. Just to quote the Norwegian Foreign Affairs Minister, she was speaking about how Norway was one of the few countries in Europe to champion the rights of the gays in Europe. And we do know that in the continent, South Africa is one of those shining examples where South Africa has been doing very well in terms of trying to promote the gay rights. And it is a hot potato in the continent when you look at how countries like Uganda and many other parts of the continent do have punitive measures against the gays. But apart from that, Nzinga, the issue of, pharmaceutical sector, we do know that at the height of COVID-19, Norway and South Africa were working so hard in terms of making sure that the countries are able to deal decisively with the pandemic.
Okay, Khayelihle, what else came up in that meeting?
So it was quite a very interesting meeting, Nzinga, really. So these are two countries. I mean, they do say that their bilateral relations are quite excellent. They work together in so many aspects. Something that really just once again came out very strong had to be the current situation in Ukraine, where there was a very clear emphasis on the respect of territorial integrity of Ukraine, the two nations, calling for peace to prevail, for a diplomatic solution solution to be brokered so that we can see the Ukrainians as well enjoying their human rights and many other aspects as well. But something that is quite important will have to be around peace and security. I think that was quite a very strong issue, and of course pertaining to trade as well. There was a very clear statement that the two countries should work together in so many aspects as well in the international fora. These are two countries as well that do respect multilateralism, where you also see the rise of protectionism and unilateralism. So South Africa and Norway calling for more solutions to be driven by a multilateral solution, the rule-based international system as well. So that was a very clear commitment as well, because this was also a very high-level consultation between Pretoria and Oslo.